Three, two, one, hit it. Let's go run.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Woo! Go Sage!
Behind the scenes, waiting every 8 minutes. Okay, now you're looking, you're squinting really hard. Where is he? Is he coming? Yes, yes. Great.
Go Sage! There's ice bucket. Do you want to start?
No, sorry.
Okay, good. Good job.
You're back on it. Your stomach.
Oh, you tried to give it to me early.
No,
My sodium bounced up.
no. You're back on the original because you took one early. Your stomach
I either
could
have-
hurt because you're dehydrated.
I'm not dehydrated. I'm peeing every hour.
That could be the sodium.
The sodium fluid bounces off. How much of a lead do I have?
2 laps.
I'm not dehydrated though. I can't absorb the fluid. It's the sodium balance is off. So I'm either taking too little salt. It's either too much or too little. I don't know which one.
Could be slightly low.
It's not absorbing. Like it's just sloshing out my stomach. So it's,
Have the gel sit.
well, nothing's sitting well because my stomach's starting to hurt. Get my half tights ready. My half tights.
So say drink this 80. You can't drink anymore? Is that what you just said?
Might help how you hit your leg.
And just stretch my quads.
Get it roller. So say if you eat more, it might help. More, use your quads more.
I'm trying to.
Get telling them. You just think about using other muscles. But remember, shoes can change where you put stress on your body. I have pants for you if you want to have pants on.
Yeah.
I have some figures.
My quads are blown out. It's not like when your quads blow out on a trail and you can still move. They're blown out.
Let's just see if this works. That's all we're asking is to see if this works.
I can't even walk. I'm calling it. It's not. I can't. But like I didn't think I should do vertical, but in hindsight now, I should have done fast downhill reps to damage the quads better. My muscles, my quads are ripped to shreds. They're not coming back from it. It'd be one thing if I was just a little dehydrated and they were getting stiff, or I was bonking and I could eat a lot, drink some Coke and rebound. But I'm having diarrhea now. Like, I'm gonna have to go before we move for this.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Into the race.
Moving a little slow this morning, believe it or not.
How do you feel?
Honestly, I mean, my quads are blown out and my feet are a mess, but I feel like more excuses. I have this lingering cough and sinus infection. It doesn't help. That was the least of my problems, though, probably.
Yeah, is that why you stopped running?
My heart rate was pretty elevated early on this morning.
They sound like excuses.
Are they excuses or are they objective principles?
They sound like excuses.
I mean, I had diarrhea. My pee was the color of cola. All right, so there you have it. A couple weeks later, I'm still trying to digest, still trying to process this effort, this what turned out to be more like 12 hours of running instead of 24 hours, which obviously is a huge disappointment. And, you know, the Ganozas hinted coming up with excuses. I like to think that I try to piece together objective things that led to my demise, or why I actually have never really done that well at any race, any surface over 100K. I've had some meltdowns in 100Ks too, but looking at my history in ultra running the last 12 years, I'd say I've definitely struggled more in the longer ultras, like over 100K, which I will say I've not as attempted as many of the long ultras. That's usually the nature of the game. And the only solid finish I've had close to 100 miles would probably be TDS in Chamonix 2 years ago. But other than that, I've had some pretty big meltdowns, and I think part of that is, I fully admit it, I swing for the fences. Not only did I want to go out and try to hold 8-minute mile pace or 5-minute kilometer pace for the entire 24 hours, I wanted to, if I did that, I would have broken the American record. So, you know, did I go out a little fast? Was it a little reckless? For sure. I was not respecting the event. I learned my lesson the hard way. I was worried about skeletal muscular fatigue being a limiting factor, and my quads blowing out. That was a pretty new sensation and something that was a lot different in my experience on these concrete paved long ultras compared to mountain trail ultra. I've had my quads get really, really sore and weak and feel like they're blowing out in a mountain ultra, but then of course you could crank up the power hike and use the poles, and I'm somehow able to run on numb quads and numb legs in mountain races, whereas the concrete felt like they totally, it totally reduced me to a slow 2 mile an hour walk. And, you know, I was humbled with that quad fatigue, that quad pain. And, you know, I will say, like, there were some other things going into the race that probably weren't ideal, but the quad pain and the quad failure is definitely what took me out. And ironically, I was actually worried about my calves blowing out or my hip flexors or some other muscular thing that had caused me more issues in training. But, you know, we always learn and try to apply these things to the future. And I was really inspired by all the amazing runners out there. Congrats to the podium winners. Again, I listed their names and their distances. Amazing, going way over 100 miles, especially with the heat of the day. It got up close to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. I'll put that in the Celsius there. But I don't think the heat affected me that much because I did the heat training and I was hydrating. Now, the hydration plan needs some tinkering with. Sandi and I had that great sweat test done, and I was still experimenting with different products. Ideally, I would have had more time. You know, I have more time now, so I'm going to go back to the drawing board. I think maybe in hindsight, and again, the benefit of hindsight after the race, I was probably drinking a little bit on the lower end of the sodium range that I probably should have been in. And according to my sweat test, I still have to study this more, and I'm going to get a consultation actually with Dina about this, but I was trying to push 1.2 liters an hour in the heat of the day, which in hindsight maybe was a little bit too much, even though I'd trained the gut at 1.3 liters per hour, which is it's a lot of fluid. But like I said, I wasn't really getting that hot. I thought the intensity was pretty low, so maybe I need to be drinking slightly less than a liter per hour and then just slightly up that sodium concentration, because I did get some sloshing in my stomach. I was suffering from GI distress near the end, but I don't think that's what took me out from the race. It was the quad pain and the quad failure. My parents actually got me Taco Bell late at night. I had a Crunchwrap Supreme, 500 milligrams of sodium. Started actually feeling better, but I just couldn't walk really anymore, and so had to call it 13 hours. But I was proud of holding 8:07 per mile pace through at least 80 miles. I'll put the kilometer, well, I know that's a little over 5 minutes per kilometer, but you know, going 80 miles and running and then having a big meltdown, going from running 8-minute, 9-minute miles to basically walking 30-minute mile laps, which was very slow. But I was inspired by seeing a lot of age groupers out there who rocked it. Shout out especially, there was a guy in the 85 to 89-year-old age category, and he was out there for the full 24 hours. He finished. I went back there in the morning, saw him get his finisher flag. They measure out your last partial loop to get the exact distance at 24 hours. So, you know, 8 a.m. the next day, we're out there for awards. This guy, I don't know if he's 85 or 89, but he was rocking it all 24 hours out there. Super impressive. And there are tons of people like that, people in the 50s and 60s. The age group, it was really an amazing, even though it was a relatively small ultra, it's a very different type of atmosphere and feeling, and you get some different runners compared to the mountain ultra events. It was probably the same with like the 200-mile ultras too, maybe, but there's a difference with the surface and, you know, what you're doing. And I like to keep experimenting on any surface, any distance. I was totally humbled. And I think with the drawing board, you know, Sandi and I try getting into all this science. I got to consult with Sandi because she's actually a certified strength coach to address what I think now probably are more muscle imbalances. I've had, you know, a whole YouTube series on trying to get my glute power back. And to tell you the truth, I've still struggled with that. I think the quads blowing out were just kind of like a warning sign highlight of that. Doesn't usually happen to me on the trails, but it happens on concrete when you go out at a, you know, sub-American record pace and try to hold it. So there's a lot to be learned there, and I think it's kind of individual with the muscle imbalances. Some people, maybe my quads are weaker relative to my hamstrings. I think I'm probably not activating my glutes enough because, you know, I have really tight hip flexors. I've had a lot of tightness, muscle imbalances over the years, and part of that comes with age, part of that comes with running super high mileage all the time, and part of that comes with me being lazy and not strengthening or stretching enough, but also not doing maybe some targeted single leg, especially like lunges or split squats and stuff that I'm going to be doing now in the future because I want to overcome this issue and get stronger. But your individual case, it might be nursing plantar fascia or Achilles tendonitis or a calf strain or injury. I think I need to work on my calves too as well. But anyway, I digress. Moving forward, we've got more training series videos. I'm going to be helping with some marathon pacing, as well as getting into some road stuff in the winter and spring, as well as schemo stuff still, trying to build a base, but probably getting more into this strength routine to try to correct my quads and muscle imbalances and how I use my muscles in these long ultra races. Because, you know, you get the nutrition squared away, you get the hydration squared away, which I'm also is a work in progress, I'll admit. And the other limiting factor is skeletal muscular fatigue, and then just staying healthy and happy. But, you know, honestly, I think I get distracted with like my lung pain and my chest breathing and all these exercises to try to overcome the issues I've had with my lungs after my pulmonary embolism. And then I don't have time to do all these other little things, or big things, I should say, with the specific strengthening, glute activation, especially single leg stuff, because I think with my leg length discrepancy, I have a 7 millimeters longer femur. Doing squats and deadlifts is great, but targeting one leg at a time like you are in a running stride is probably more specific. So that's kind of the lesson I learned. Any more excuses? Yeah, I was totally humbled. I think if I went out a minute a mile slower, maybe things would have worked out better. I'm still not sure. I think I still would have suffered from the quad failure of running on the hard surface, but I was proud of how my crew handled the adverse situations. I got a little cranky, and I apologize to that. If people saw me having my little meltdown, I was definitely in the hurt box and definitely not thinking straight at some point in the night, maybe 9 p.m., 13 hours in, right, when I pulled the plug. But rockstar crew, I mean, I had Sandi there, I had my parents there, the Ganozas, and thank you for Steven for filming all of this amazing footage. Check out his YouTube channel below, as well as Sandi's channel, Running Wild. Subscribe to both of them. Again, Steven Ganoza for all the running race films or clips. He's also done a film starting over. But yeah, I really appreciate the support from title sponsor Hoka, Camelback, Koros, to name a few, Athlete Blood Tests, Rapid Reboot, keeping the dream alive here. Yes, and I am in the Rapid Reboot recovery system here. I'm doing a video on that in a bit. This was comped for me, but it feels really good because my quads are still really sore. But yeah, trying to figure it out. The Rockstar crew, I've really got no excuses. Now that I know things, I would have maybe done some targeted hard downhill training to target my quads more specifically, like I will when I'm training for the Boston Marathon this spring. But yeah, flat running ultras on pavement on a timed loop course, totally different ball game than the mountain ultra trail races that I'm used to, and a great learning experience. So it's humbling. We learned together. Thank you for all the supportive comments, all the people that tuned in. They had great coverage, Aravapa running Mountain Outposts for the event. And yeah, I'm just really thankful to be able to take part in these events, make media. And so thanks for everyone out there, really inspiring performances. I got to go back to the drawing board. We're doing any service, any distance still, but I think there's a lot of takeaways and a lot to learn from this, and some tinkering I'll do with my training as I evolve in the sport as I get older and try to overcome different health issues like the pulmonary embolism, but now keeping these legs healthy. So thank you so much for all your support. Really appreciate it. Hope your training is going well. Let me know if you're going to be at any future events or what you're training for. Again, we sell training plans, higherrunning.com, and check out Steven's channel and Sandi's channel. Subscribe on there. Thanks to my parents also for making the trip out to Goodyear, Phoenix. It was a really cool event, really special community. I wish I could have gone the 24 hours. I totally failed in that goal. It's totally humbled, but you know, it's part of the game sometimes, and we try to come back stronger and learn something about our training, but also about ourselves. So thank you, and stay tuned for more via 2Max Productions.